Everyone, Dan Fresh here with the second video for today. Like I said in my previous video, this is a video regarding owning an Evo 10, the pros and cons, and what you should know before owning one. And I have a little list here. My cons are is what I want to start with, and the cons are for the car is first off, the big thing if you're going to consider the major stuff is the transfer case is kind of the Achilles heel of the Evos. Everyone knows that. People make fun of it constantly in the STI community because, we're always going back about ring lens on the STIs and going back and forth about T cases on the Evos. We'll always be doing that. It's kind of been the ongoing jokes in the community. Anyways, jokes aside, the T case is definitely one of the weaker points of the car. So if you're gonna go take it to the strip, I recommend not launching it unless you build the T case, because after quite a few launches, it's gonna beat up on it quite a bit. I took mine to the strip last year and I launched it several times. I personally believe my T case is on its way out. I sometimes hear weird noises and I think it's from the transfer case, and I really have beaten on it. So the transfer case is definitely something that I would recommend building as a priority mod if you're going to be if you're going to be taking it to the drag strip. That is, if you're going to be roll racing it or just taking it to autocross or the circuit track or what have you, don't worry about it. It's going to do just fine. It can hold up to tons and tons and tons of power. It's just that shock of just letting off the clutch and letting it hit at full power, that's where the transfer case starts to have an issue. Other than that, the transfer case is pretty foolproof as long as you're just not launching it over and over and over again. Another con is the interior. That is a big con on this car. You're spending $30,000+ on this car, and it has a base Lancer interior, so it's a little aggravating for sure. You have a nicer gauge cluster, and then you have the Recaro seats as long as you have a 14 and down. If you have 15 and newer, which is a bigger bummer, you have the base Lancer seats. And here in the United States, at least, in other countries, I believe they still have the Recaros. The reason they did this was for crash safety reasons, from what I understand. And that is why the 15 pluses are missing the Recaros. So it's kind of a bummer, but at the end of the day, you have to look at it. And the reason that there's Recaros in it, and a crap interior, is because they put all the money for that car into performance. They want it to just feel like a race car. So you have the racing seats, you have a great motor with a very intelligent all-wheel drive system, and it handles great and can make a lot of power for not a whole lot of modifications. So it's a great sports car, and you can also use it as a four-door family car if you really wanted to. It's not the most comfortable for that, so I don't really recommend it. But if you're a younger person, you just want to haul your friends around and whatnot, I think it's perfect. You can go get groceries in it. There's enough room in the trunk for that. You can't flip down the seats, so that's definitely a con for the car. You can't fold down the back seats, so you can't put a whole lot of stuff in the car. So yeah, there's kind of a space issue where other cars you can fold down the back seats and get a little more room out of it if you want to put some longer objects in there and what have you. So that is definitely an issue. Next is paint. Paint is definitely an issue on the car. The exterior paint is complete garbage. I've owned the car for 5 years, bought it in 2012, it's a 2010. There was swirl marks all over it, which I've seen a lot of Evos have swirl marks all over them because the paint is it's just not good. It's very easy to scratch. Mine was white when I originally bought it, so it didn't really bother me. But over time, it got nicks and scratches super easily. Just the paint would flake off super easily. The paint around the hood scoop started to fall off. Obviously, I have my car plastic now, so that kind of took care of my issue personally. But if you're wanting to keep the OEM paint, I suggest garage keeping it, buffing it as much as you can. Try not to drive behind any major semis or anything like that. It's going to kick up rocks because it's just going to destroy the paint. Another con for this car, maintenance. Maintenance, I mean, it's not too bad if you're comparing it to some higher end sports cars, but for being kind of a middle range priced one for people who are trying to be like budget minded, and that's kind of why the Evo fits me perfectly because it is kind of a budget minded sports car. It's still not quite cheap, but it's not as expensive as other stuff, and it does so much for how much little money you throw at it. As far as maintenance goes, you have to really keep up on your fluids. The Evo is very particular about its fluids in the transfer case, transmission, rear differential, spark plugs, you name it. You need to make sure that you're keeping on top of your maintenance. So look at your maintenance book when you get the car. Look at what other people are doing online as far as maintenance. There's other fluids you can supplement for the transmission that make it run a little smoother and work a little better, but definitely keep up on the maintenance on the Evo. It's kind of crucial for the health of the car. Other than that, as long as you keep up on the maintenance, the car seems to do just fine. Mine hasn't had a whole lot of issues. Now it's just over 80,000 miles. The front axle boots are starting to leak. Other than that, I really haven't had any major issues with the car. I've just kept up on my maintenance and it's been pretty good. If you've downshift a lot, you don't even have to swap out brakes that much. Those brakes can last pretty long. You might want to pad slap it here or there, but the rotors and pads are almost on their way out now, just at 80K. The pads are a new set of pads that I've only swapped out once. I still have the original set of rotors. We're at over 80,000 miles, and the rotors are still in not pristine. They're grooved, but they're not warped or anything like that. And it's 80K, and what more can I ask for? I think I can take it out to about 85K before I have to swap everything. I'm gonna go with a different set of pads and rotors for sure in the future, but I'll get more into that in another video. Another major con for the car is its clutch. The stock clutch is pretty garbage. Also the release point of the clutch kind of sucks on these cars. You can kind of fix that with the clutch pill delete. There's stuff online about it. If you guys would like me to make a video on how to delete the clutch pill, I already did it in mine. But there's a little spring inside the reservoir there at the bottom of the front of the car for the clutch, and if you pull that out, it makes the clutch pedal more consistent. It doesn't release in random spots because that spring tends to make it release in random spots because there's a little tiny piece of plastic inside that spring with a little tiny hole, and that's where all the fluid has to go through, and it causes that spring to fluctuate, and it kind of makes the clutch point release inconsistent. Now that I deleted it, the clutch is definitely better. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better and more predictable. So more on that in another video. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. I'll definitely be happy to make a video for you guys explaining what you have to do. But yeah, the stock clutch, back to that. The stock clutch is garbage. I blew that thing out super quickly and it burned up really fast. I switched to another clutch, which is a carbonetic clutch. A lot of people said it was a great clutch. I kind of agree but disagree. It felt great. It handled the power good for a while, but after about a year, it kind of went out on me, and it did the same thing the stock clutch did. Now I'm on competition clutch. It's very, very, very heavy, and it's annoying to use, but it's been tried and true. I've had it for about 3 years now, and I've beaten the crap out of it, and it's had almost no issues. So it's kind of pros and cons. If there's a clutch out there that you guys recommend, because I'm definitely contemplating on replacing the clutch and flywheel again here soon. I'll be doing the ACT lightweight flywheel again. It's been a great flywheel. I haven't had any issues with that. But the next clutch, I want it to be lighter, but to be able to handle higher power. So I might not be able to find that happy medium. I might just have to buy another one of these competition clutches, which is a great clutch overall. Like I said, it handles the power awesome. It's been beaten to hell. I took it to the drag strip probably about 6 times and never had an issue with it. So, I kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Now, I'm going to get on to the pros for the car. Let me look over my list here real quick again. Number one, the engine on it is a great power plant. People were worried about it at first, but now it's starting to prove its true colors. It's a motor that can definitely handle quite a bit of power. So, with just bolt-ons like mine, you make about 360 dyno jet numbers. If you want to bump up to 85, you're making about 400. So that's pretty cool, and you can do that reliably. So, that's pretty awesome with just a couple of grand, not even maybe like 3 or 4 grand. If you do it budget mindedly, you can have about 400 horsepower out of your Evo 10, which is pretty awesome, especially for a $30,000 car. And then if you want to go more than that, there's guys making way, way more power. I don't really want to get on online debate about how much power you can put on a stock block, but there's guys that have been running it for years and they've been making tons and tons of power. I suggest you look at 370Z for me. He's a YouTuber. He has a video on his stock motor built by 5150 with just the turbo kit and all the supporting mods for it, and he's making an insane amount of power. I don't want to get into that though, guys, because I know how people get into it. I've seen people just argue and freak out about it online, so I really don't want to get into that. But if you want to get into it, go look at his video, and I definitely suggest you subscribe to see more about it in the future. The all-wheel drive system on this car, huge pro, huge. Obviously, there's maintenance that goes along with it, but the all-wheel drive system on this car, it makes you feel like you are Superman behind the wheel, which is a pro and a con in itself. Yes, it makes your driving a whole lot better, and it can do a whole lot of stuff. You can come into a corner almost too fast and power your way through the corner. As long as you're aiming the wheel where you want to go and keeping your foot on the floor, it'll pretty much pull you out of any scenario. I'm not saying it's perfect and you can do whatever you want with it and that you're going to be completely safe no matter what you do. I'm not saying that, but it definitely makes you a little bit better driver than you really are. Go drive a rear wheel drive car, or maybe a less advanced all wheel drive or front wheel drive. They take a hell of a lot more finesse to actually become a good driver in one of those, where this all wheel drive system kind of makes you better than you are. Another pro is the Recaro seats. They have 5-point harness slots from the factory. That's awesome. And then finally, the last thing I have is I personally love the look of the Evo 10. I think it looks awesome, very aggressive, and it's just a good looking car all around in my opinion. It's going to be a timeless look in my mind, and I really like it. And obviously I enjoy the car. I've had it for 5 years, and I definitely still love the car. Other than that, guys, if you have any other questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't down below. And if you guys have any other questions for me or have any other video requests from me, please let me know. I'm going to be doing more vlog stuff in the future, and trying to get into this channel more and more. I do have a new job coming into play, but like I said in my last video, it's about an hour away, so I'll have plenty of time to shoot video along the way. Anyways, guys, you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.